recording. Hello again, it's me Chaz, back with another video. This time, 1934 World Cup, the quarterfinals, moving on from the last 16 or from the round of 16. Now, the top 8 teams that competed at the 1934 World Cup. Again, I'm going to split this up into 2 parts. The first part of choosing 4 teams. Those 4 teams are Sweden, who took on Germany. That was in the San Siro. So I headed up there to record, and also still recording up there in the San Siro in Milan. I filmed and I started recording a little review of the match between Switzerland and Czechoslovakia. Currently I'm in Rome though, but a couple of days ago I was filming in Milan again. Did a last bit of filming around there. The 4 nations here, Czechoslovakia, do end up reaching the final, going up against Italy, who are the hosts. They were able to beat Switzerland. See, was it 3-2, and Germany took on Sweden. Germany was able to knock out Sweden in this, and at this World Cup they themselves reached the semi-finals. So you see these 2 teams playing each other, and then those 2 teams playing each other. So yeah, between the 4 nations, I just mentioned, Germany are the most successful out of 4, hosting 2 World Cups and winning 4, reaching the most finals. Sweden themselves do host the World Cup. They hosted the 1958 World Cup where they reached the final, and they have reached quite a few semi-finals over the years as well, including the next World Cup in 1938, or after this World Cup I should say. Czechoslovakia, they have reached 2 World Cup finals, this one first in 1934 final, and then again in 1962. Switzerland have themselves hosted the World Cup. They would end up hosting the 1954 World Cup. That is the first World Cup to take place in Europe after World War II. Alright, so fade away, you're going to see me in the San Siro, or around the area in Milan. Thanks for watching, appreciate it as usual, and bye. Alright, I'm finally had some time to do some filming here. 1934 World Cup quarterfinal video 1. Only 1 game took place in the 1934 World Cup in the quarterfinals that took place here. That was the game between Germany and Sweden. Germany were able to win that game 2-1 against Sweden. For that, Germany was able to beat Belgium to reach the quarterfinals. Sweden, on the other hand, knocked out Argentina, who were the runners-up of the 1930 World Cup. So, game between those 2. Germany got the best over Sweden. Both teams didn't score in the first half. That's the first time that happened in the 1934 World Cup. I think that might be the first and only time that happened where no team scores. Wait. Nah, that does happen in the final. Anyway, Germany was able to score 2 goals in the second half, both from Homan, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He did score a hat-trick for Germany in their 9-1 win against Luxembourg to help them qualify for the World Cup in 1934. And that's my group leaving. So yeah, that's how Germany was able to qualify. And Sweden did get 1 goal back. Who scored for Sweden? Donker. Donker scored for Sweden to get a goal back. It wasn't enough. Sweden got knocked out. It's poor. It's a shame. Well, it was actually a good showing for Sweden. Yeah, they knocked out the runners up in 1930. Sweden do qualify for the 1938 World Cup, where they reached the semi-finals for the first time. and then in 1950 they reach another Final Four in Brazil. Yeah, that's with Sweden. Sweden do also end up hosting the World Cup in 1958, where again they do end up playing Brazil again, and they lost to Brazil in the final. That's interesting with Sweden. And but yeah, for this World Cup in Italy, 1934, this is where Sweden lost and got knocked out. Alright, okay, that's the quarterfinals. Now, I'm going to mention the other quarterfinal game between Czechoslovakia and Switzerland. That game didn't take place here though, by the way. The stadium that game took place was I'll mention it later. But yeah, I'll probably mention that when I reach outside here. Anyway, this is pretty cool. It's the difference from checking out this empty stadium from, you know, it was especially on the Champions League night is pretty fun to check. Anyway, I think I'm going in. Alright, still recording. I just finished my stadium tour up there, which was good, very fun. Didn't have as much time to film in the stadium, I would say, in the actual pitch and all that. But it's still cool. It's still cool. I had fun there. Great bit of history learning, which is what my channel's about in general. I like to have known some new things. I did do a little bit recording about the match, or about the match between, what was it, Germany and Sweden, which did take place there. And that was one of the quarterfinals. Gonna mention the other quarterfinal, because again I put the teams in like 4 separate groups, I guess. This, by the way, this is also the first World Cup to have a quarterfinal round in. Most World Cups going forward does have a quarterfinal in, you know. So yeah, top 8 teams. Anyway, I'm going to mention the game between Czechoslovakia and Switzerland. That game ended in a 3-2 win for Czechoslovakia on their way to the World Cup finals, where they did play Italy at the end. The stadium they played in, though, wasn't here. It wasn't in the San Siro. It was in the... Well, currently the stadium's known as the Olimpico Grande Torino. Originally, though, the stadium's name was named after Benito Mussolini. That was originally the stadium's name. One second. Alright, yes, so I'm back again. So yeah, originally that stadium where Czechoslovakia played Switzerland was originally called the Benito Mussolini. It was changed afterwards. So they changed the name. A lot of things that was named after Benito Mussolini was most. I pretty much think everything was changed. But the stadium was named after the Torino team called the Grande Torino. That was the team in the 1940s. Fantastic team, winning for five Serie A's in 10 years, and that in the 40s. Tragically, they did pass away in a air crash in 1949, which made up most of the Italian team, which is probably one of the reasons why I did mention in my other video that they didn't do as well, but they did get one win in the 1950 World Cup, and they were the defending champions at that time. Obviously, the last 2 World Cups, they were winners, but 2 World Cups in a row was, what's the word I should say, cancelled because of World War II. Obviously in 1942, that would have been the next World Cup after 38, and then in 46, but that was just after. So 42 was during the war, and 46 was you know, just after still Europe recovering, so they cancelled those 2 World Cups, meaning that Italy were the team to hold the World Cup the longest in history, actually. See, I think it's a total of 16 years they were champions. Anyway, yeah, the stadium that Switzerland and Czechoslovakia played in, named after that great Torino team. Right, Switzerland were leading. Seems to be a common thing at this World Cup. Comebacks was a lot in the 1934 World Cup. Kilos scored his 3rd goal at the World Cup, scored 2 in the previous game where they knocked out Netherlands. But then Czechoslovakia managed to equalise in the first half. Shivboda for Czechoslovakia, Czechoslovakia equalised, so making it a 1-1. Second half, Shibotaka scored, making it 2-1 this time around for Czechoslovakia. Switzerland, on the other hand, managed to equalise this time. Jaggi scored. He actually scored the equaliser against Yugoslavia during qualifying, which did help Switzerland get to the World Cup in 1934. But at the end, once again, Nedjedli scored the winning goal for Czechoslovakia. Fantastic again. Was the one that scored the winning goal for Czechoslovakia against Romania in their 2-1 win in round 1, and again this time around turned up once again for Czechoslovakia, scoring the winner. Great victory, and Czechoslovakia moved on to the World Cup semi-finals with Switzerland. Again, they got knocked out, but they do qualify in 38. They do reach another quarterfinals there, and they do become hosts of the 1954 World Cup. You know, had a great competition there as well. They reached the quarterfinals of that World Cup. The game that they lost in, I believe, was against probably the longest. Not longest. I think that had the most goals in the World Cup. That game finished 6-5. That's back in 1954 anyway. Yeah, that's good with Switzerland. I should also mention, with Switzerland, I do have World Cup history videos for Switzerland, but I haven't finished them off yet. Still got a lot more videos to do with them. I've kind of put that series on pause, but I will upload the others soon. Anyway, this was part 1. Yeah, this is my part 1 video of the 1934 World Cup quarterfinals. I mentioned that the game that took place here in the San Siro between Germany and Switzerland. Sorry, Germany and Sweden. Don't get them mixed up. Sorry. And I just mentioned the game between Czechoslovakia and Switzerland. Anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate it as usual, and bye.